There have been so many Ork spoilers on the last few days, and if you're scratching your head thinking where do I start with it all, well, I'm here to give you a virtual slap across the interweb to show you how to be the toughest, meanest git there is. Listen up while I shatter your puny little world view of the greenskins and what it's all about. First and foremost is more Dacker. If you haven't got the Dacker, then you need to get more Dacker. And if you've got more Dacker, then you need to get more Dacker. And then you fire the Dacker at the gits until they stop moving. Dacker, Dacker, Dacker. And that's when you laugh and you look at them running around like. Then get more Dacker. Once you've done that, you reload and then you get more Dacker. Dacker, 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 Dacker. Stupid puny oomies. We need to show them who's got the best Dacker with more Dacker. It's as simple as that. And if they get too close, that's when you get to the crumping. Some enemies don't enjoy a good scrap, and they don't really appreciate the nuances of the war. And that's why we need to educate them on the proper way to get stuck in and sort things out. Orks is the best, and everyone needs to be reminded of that once in a while. They like to sit behind their fortifications and blast away with their superior guns and technology. Well, what they think is superior guns and technology. They won't be saying that when they get introduced to the big mech shock attack gun. Grots everywhere. Step number 2. To war or not to war. Now, some stinky gits will say you don't war until later turns, but if you is an Ork, you is warring. If you is not an Ork, then you is not warring, you is getting crumped. And so, step 2 is war! And to those that are uninitiated in the ways of might makes right, the louder the war, the better. If you are not bellowing at the top of your voice into the face of your opponent, you is doing it wrong, and you need to be yelling louder. You want to be upsetting those World Eaters players at the other end of the hall who do not know the ways of the war and think that they are some sort of goody two-shoe, non-warging gits who think they can just waltz into combat without the proper etiquette. The louder the war, the better the win. If I cannot hear you from the other end of the event hall, then you might as well be playing Tau. And don't forget, if you want to get the job done proper, you need the right units. None of these grots, Gretchen, snotlings, whatever you want to call them, silly miserable gits is what I call them, and we don't want any of them when the fighting gets thick. So when I look at these warbands and I see more than 2 units of grots, it makes me sick. You only need 1 unit of grots to look after the gubbins at the back, and another unit of grots to stand in the way and get shot just for laughs. Any more than that is a waste of time. You want proper greenskins to get stuck in, no mucking about. Once we have successfully deployed the war, then the real fun begins. We roll some dice, and if you ain't got enough dice, you need to get yourself some more dice. And once you got them dice, you need to get yourself more dice. Get the buckets of dice to help roll things quicker. Being Orks, we got lots of crumping to do, and so we need the proper buckets. You need the right tools for the right job. It's like those silly oomies with their banana, the knifey thing at the front of their guns. Ain't gonna get the job done. You need a proper chopper. You need a proper bucket to roll all them dice. They ain't gonna crump us back if we got more dice. That's proper tactics. Step 3 is picking the right fights. I knew this one war boss that was so keen for a fight, he didn't think about things like armour of contempt or fight on death. And so I send that chump in first every time to take the kicking, so that the real units I care about can get the crumping without any horrible underhand tricks. You want to be on the right side of that fight. Make it so that it's fair for the Orkses and not for the stinking oomies. Sometimes that'll mean charging 2 things, and then you get to make sure you get to fight. Other times that'll mean charging only 1 thing in, so you don't get any cheeky interruptions. You want to be constantly thinking about the fighting like me. Wherever the gits are and whatever the underhand tricks they got up their sleeves, it's only fun if we're the ones doing the crumping, not getting crumped. So don't be a silly runt and go in half cocked, not knowing what the enemy's got in store for you, or you'll be squig food before the day is out. If you've got some teeth to spare, then consider stopping by the video description and having a look at the affiliate links. It's a real easy way to show you're a top orc, to show your love for the channel, and most importantly, buying models for the Great War. And don't forget, another big way to support the channel is by joining the membership program for $2.99 a month. I don't know how you get 99 fractions of a tooth, but what I do know is there is some very good and very useful content out there in the members section that elaborates more on some of the cunning tactics that this channel is all about. So if you want even more videos, even more awesome content, sign up today. But as much as it's about the crumping, don't forget, it's not always about the crumping, even though it is really secretly about all the crumping. Oh, I love crumping. These silly oomies have got a real thing about the shiny circles, and they get really, really angry when you stand on the shiny circles. But if you don't want to be wasting time with all that fluff, get the grots back out the bin and use them to get the shiny shinies. Let them rummage around for the good bits and score some points and do other non-orc things, while the proper orcs get stuck in grots for grot work, orcs for orc work. And by orc work, I mean chopping and crumping. Whoa. We'll have a special place for the young ones amongst us as well, the Storm Boys, who like to run around in their sparkly uniforms, following orders and being un-orky. We'll let them fly about and score some points as well, until they get that out of their system and they realise life's true pleasures are crumping and doing some more crumping. And don't forget, how you gonna get there? You can slog it like the boys, or you can ride up like the speed freaks. It don't really matter as long as you get to the gits. We got boom Dacker snaz wagons, death dreads. I've even seen some proper mad lads clinging onto the back of a squig. There's some weird boys. Oh, and speaking of weird boys, if you're brave enough to get close enough to one of them, you can find yourself in the thick of it at the blink of an eye. Either that, or your brains will be splattered all up the side of the wall. Either way, it's a good laugh, and something's going to get crumped. But seriously, I would not stand too close to the weird boy if I were you. And if that's a bit too fancy, there's always the trusty truck. It might be made of paper and bits of squig, tin can and some old Yumi scrap that we found lying about, but it gets the job done. You sit on the back, get the boarding plank, the shooters going, put on some good tunes and get stuck in. Whatever you don't run down in the truck, you leap out and you get crumping. Never leave home without your trucks. Even if it's not your preferred method of transport, they are very, very useful. Not only to do the grot work of scoring some points, but also to tank shock every now and again. That's if you remember to save some of them CP whatsamajigs. Nobody likes being tank shocked, and they don't see it coming. They look at them trucks and they think they're all flimsy, but they don't say that when they're being run down by them. And if you're feeling really flash, then you can saddle up in a battle wagon, get the death roller whirling and get that thing stuck in. That does not muck about, I can tell you. If you ever need a good laugh, wind that thing up and let it go. If you've enjoyed this video, then hit the like button or Gaz will get ya. If you want to hear more videos that are going to be all about the tactics, the cunning and the brutal and the cunning, then subscribe for weekly content to get even better at the Dacker and the Crumping. And if you really, really want that sort of thing, then occasionally we'll talk about standing on the shiny circles as well. But at the end of the day, grot work is grot work, and that sort of gubbins ain't going to make you any more of an orc. In the meantime, thanks for watching. Keep rolling those dice, keep crumping them gits, and stay tuned for more. Well, I'm here to give you a virtual slab across the interweb and show you how to be the toughest, meanest, stinkingest git. Fucking hell. Poor voice, jeez. Never again.